Welcome on Professionals, episode 46.
Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And please put unprofessional development in the How Did You Hear About Podgo? That will give us a little finder's fee. Thank you.
Hello, unprofessionals. So as you know, now we're doing real commercials, not just the silly ones that we normally do. So today I've got with me my daughter Micah. Say hello, Micah.
Hi.
She has an Etsy account. It's called what?
Roo Makes Bracelets.
Roo Makes Bracelets, okay? We'll put a link in the show notes for you for sure. So she makes some friendship bracelets. She even has one that is kind of an unprofessional bracelet where she's made the unpro letters in the bracelet. So if you need a bracelet, go to Roo's Bracelets. Anything else you want to say about your bracelets?
No.
Okay. But she's a little kid. She's 11 years old. She's entrepreneuring. You know, support her. And go to Roo's Bracelets. Click the link in the show notes. Thank you. Say goodbye, Micah.
Bye.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Unprofessional Development. I'm Tudisco.
And I'm Mealey. And today we have with us Mr. Canle. And we were just talking about it off the air, boys and girls. But so
as they say in the biz.
As they say in the biz, yes. Dana, who you've not heard her episode yet, because we're recording that in 2 weeks, apparently recommended me to her, him to me, and something like that. And Dana may or may not be friends with Aida Hadzovic, and so there's just some kind of like 3 degrees of Twitter difference, and so all that good stuff. So we've got him on here. He is a teacher's admin, YouTube, and all sorts of other things. I don't know. I'm a Ben Affleck fan. So, we're just going to have some good times and just chew the fat here. So,
how you doing today, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm happy to be on, guys. It's good to be around some like-minded people, you know?
There you go. Cool beans. So,
don't insult yourself like that.
So walk us through your journey to where you are in education now, from wanting to be a teacher to, I assume you were a classroom teacher at some point before you were an admin, to whatever you see yourself as now with the YouTube channel and other things that you do outside of the actual like building.
So it was never the plan to be a teacher, number one. My plan growing up, obviously, I was going to be a famous professional soccer player. That was the one and only plan. Got pretty close. Played in college. Traveled a lot.
Okay.
But
D1? Did you play D1?
Yeah. I actually went to St. John's, who at the time was the number 4 team in the nation.
Nice. Nice.
My senior year, my team actually played for the number 1 team in the nation. It was based out of New Rochelle, New York. But,
okay.
So, I tasted a little bit of success with that. So the cup of coffee was there, as they say.
So I'm going to like pause there for a second. We'll get back to the education thing.
Yeah.
So, what position did you play, and were you a starter?
Yeah, so I was a starter. I typically played right or left fullback, which is like a defender that kind of goes up and down the wings, sending crosses in, stuff like that. So yeah, once I got to the height of it, it was mostly like right fullback, right midfield.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about soccer because that's more of a European sport. Which position goes after the golden snitch?
No snitch in this game, but there's a ball though. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm back in.
Did you like get as far as playing like semi-pro and get like a contract with like some? And what year was this? And I'm like on the fringe of following it because like Major League Soccer is like maybe like the past 5-8 years has become like more.
Right.
Like of a thing than it was like 20 years ago, right?
Right. Yeah, I have some guys I played with that were on my actual team I just mentioned made it into the MLS. I was not so fortunate, but Yeah, this was around like '06. I was graduating high school.
Mm-hmm.
My claim to fame was I played in a tournament in Italy where we were kind of representing. My team was based out of Brooklyn at this time, and we were representing like USA, and we lost to a team in the championship 1-0 from Hungary. It was like a big like global thing, and that's kind of how a lot of kids and myself got discovered by scouts and things.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, you get old, the body breaks down, and you got to find something to do. So what happened was during college, I wasn't so interested in the academics. So they told me, they guided me, quote unquote, we'll go into accounting. That's a recession-proof job. You know, you can always lean on that. So I got my degree in accounting kind of begrudgingly and started working in the city in Tribeca, to be honest. And it was a great job. It really was. It's like what I imagined Google to be. There was like no cubicles. Guys are skateboarding around the place. Like it was awesome.
Uh-huh.
And I was just unhappy, and I knew that it wasn't for me. So at nighttime, I was training youth soccer teams, as old athletes do, in your respective sport. And I figured out I was looking forward to the evenings way more than the daytime with my day job, and kind of just made the transition. Went back to school to get my master's, and that was it. It kind of just took off from there.
Okay. And then you taught did you go directly into administration, or you taught in the classroom, and what level before you became, because you're an assistant principal now, yes?
Yeah, correct. So what happened was I had an opportunity to go teach at a charter school in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And it was called a quote, no excuses charter school, which has like a certain model to it. It was a lottery pick, so you get the same type of population. It's, anything goes, all shapes, sizes, demographics, whatever. But since it was a very challenging job, there was a lot of teacher turnover. Mm-hmm. So it was my second year, I was already, just for showing up to work, I guess, I was already the grade level chair for the sixth grade.
Nice.
In that system was a department head.
Yes.
And then from there, I just kind of found another opportunity at my current school where I still am. I taught there for 4 years before becoming the AP. So in total, I got, what do I have? 6 or 7 years under my belt as a sixth grade teacher, and now I'm in my second year as an AP.
Okay.
So it's been good. My 2 years at the charter school, I always say I had a friend who did 4 tours of duty in Afghanistan, and I would tell him my experience at the charter school, and he said, I'll do a 5th tour instead of going teaching. I feel like I have more experience than the number dictates.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about charter schools, but I've had a couple of different friends who have gone into it, and there's like this, it's almost like a bait and switch, I feel sometimes with teachers, where like they tell you it's going to be like this, and we're going to do this revolutionary thing and get whatever, and you get there and it's like, oh my goodness, like guys are like on some shoestring budget, and there's like these, and like it's just all higgledy-piggledy. And I'm sure there's some really, really good, well-run charter schools, but I think a lot of them are just kind of figuring it out as they go, or it's a polarizing topic, to say the least. There's pros and cons to. There's more than one way to get a cat, let's say. But yeah, and I guess part of it has to do with the fact that depending on the charter school, a lot of times it's a last-ditch effort by parents with a kid that's been unsuccessful in a couple other different situations. They're kind of throwing it in there, and you're kind of dealing with a clientele maybe who is not, generally been academically successful prior to coming to that charter school. Is that the case? Yeah, I think it's certain spaces kind of demand a change, whether the public school there is just struggling for whatever reasons. When you have a nice, brightly lit, newly painted building with this and that, and doodads, parents, get attracted to that. Mm-hmm. There's definitely pros and cons to both. I now teach obviously at a public school, and it's just different. I don't know if one is necessarily better than the other. I just feel like in terms of differentiating for like we would for a student, there's just more than one way to do it, So yeah. I kind of don't lean one way or the other. I think they're all great. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've thought about it. Have you ever thought about going to a charter school, Tudisco?
I just keep thinking about getting a job, so I just kind of go where the wind takes me.
There you go.
I also, I think we're about the same age, because I also graduated high school around the same time as you. and I went straight to college for teaching, and there was none. No teaching jobs in 2010. So, yeah, I looked into teaching anywhere.
Where are you guys from?
I'm originally from New York. I'm from Long Island.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in Valley Stream, right outside Queens.
Yeah, I'm from Iceland.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No.
Yeah, and I'm from just outside Philly, so from the burbs of Philly, so you know.
We're getting way more New York than Pennsylvania on the podcast. I'm just saying.
Keenan was from Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Yeah. So and Miss English.
I'd say it's about like a 3-to-2 ratio, so about the same as like NFL teams.
Yes, exactly. That's true. Is it? No.
So I do want to throw
Buffalo.
in here. Can we take a step back and just point out that Mealey said higgledy-piggledy.
Yes, thank you.
And Conley said doodads. So I feel like I need to throw in a nonsense word just to join the club.
Sure. What do you got?
Bamboozled.
Oh, yes.
Great one.
Let's go bamboozled.
That reminds me of when I was a kid. You know those little, it's a circle, like, some of them are like the frog says and the something says, and you pull the string. But I had a Winnie the Pooh one. And there was, not the heffalump, but I don't know, there was something. And he's like, and I will bamboozle you. Maybe it was a woozle? I don't know. And I will bamboozle you. That's like the first time I heard the word bamboozle. But when I'd pull that string.
I did love when the batteries in those things started dying and it started talking like the devil.
Yes.
Nightmares forever.
Also, one of my favorite episodes of The King of Queens is when they were on strike. I don't know if you're big King of Queens fans. And they were gambling on what animal was going to come up next. Those are good times. Yes.
Another pride of Long Island, Kevin James right
Yes.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, so teaching. Right, that's what we were talking about.
There you go.
All right, so I see how your educational journey got you into the classroom. So then at what point did you look around at the other classrooms and think, like, I'm so good, I should go for admin?
I think comparison truly is the thief of joy. So I try to just compete with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was kind of ingrained in me with the sports background. You're always trying to just, be better at whatever you do. And I think it was one of those things when I started to initially think about admin, I think it was kind of crossing with me completing everything I wanted to achieve as a teacher. I think I started to see the end of the road in terms of like, I don't really know where I could take this anymore. And I think I might be able to help instead of just 25 kids in my room, maybe 100 kids, maybe 500 kids. Like, I think that's where the mindset started going. And I think once teachers started to kind of visit my classroom and talk to me about things, I think I started to realize maybe I can be pretty good at helping people, whether it's a child or an adult. I kind of think that's how it started to roll for me.
And you said you've been an admin for 2 years now?
Yeah, I'm in my second year.
So you've been mostly a COVID admin, huh?
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring that up. I was just going to bridge that to what I just said before in terms of like the 2 years of the charter school. I feel like those count for like 10 years. These 2 years of admin in COVID, I feel like it's like counts for at least 5 years. So, because I've just seen a lot of different things, and it's problem on top of problem that you have to solve and solve and solve.
Mm-hmm.
You can't solve any of them. Let's be honest. Like, they're unsolvable problems. This kid doesn't speak English and doesn't have internet.
It's tough.
Yep.
It's definitely tough. But listen, we try our best,
There you go.
So 4 years, lots of mileage. That's what you're saying.
Yes. So tied into that, before I jump on the next thing I was going to ask you, how do you balance support and accountability? I guess, like, as a teacher, one of my big things is I always try to balance support and accountability. And how do you deal with teachers who feel like you're holding them accountable when in your mind you're trying to be supportive? Like, how do you deal with that challenge?
Yeah, like a lot of these things, when people talk to me about, questions like that, I don't even think it's in an education space. It's just in like an improvement type thing, just in life. I think you have to lead by example. If you're not working harder than everybody else, then whatever you say kind of falls on deaf ears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who the heck is this guy to tell me, like, he doesn't work as hard as me? So I think the secondary thing to that is some people just don't know how hard you work sometimes, so they might have that attitude anyway.
Right.
But to answer your question, I think just simplifying it. Like, for example, I think any teacher is doing a fantastic job if any kid in the room at any given time could just answer, I call it the core four, right? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? How do I do it? And how do I know if I'm doing it well? Yeah. If that's known in your classroom, then pat yourself on the back. That's awesome. And then, the next step to that is, well, what's the best way to do that? And it's like, well, that's the issue with me being a sports guy. There's really no winning in education, because education is supposed to be just the conduit for personal growth. Yes. So really, it's just you need to have a willingness to compete with yourself, just improve every day. So I think that's where the conversations are. It's like if people see that I'm willing to improve myself and listen, then I feel like they're more inclined to improve themselves and listen, Okay. That's what I try and do with all the extracurriculars that I like to engage in. It's just trying to see what I can improve about my practice,
Yeah, I like that core four. We've of course always heard that, but I've never heard it phrased that way. What were the core four again? Can you say it one more time?
Yeah. So what am I doing? Why am I doing this? How do I do it? And how do I know if I'm doing it well?
I like that.
So this is kind of how I bridge that to practice. It's like the what am I doing, of course, is going to be like your measurable learning target for the kid. The why am I doing it? That's kind of where like your parlor tricks come in of selling them on the importance of, the how do I do it? That could be like whatever method you're, ingraining in them. And then just the how do I know if I'm doing it well? It's as simple as off the top of my head, like a simple rubric or whatever to help the child. I always kind of bring it back to that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And speaking of, so like tying that to the extracurricular, you're a YouTuber. So,
apparently I've joined that space. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been YouTubing, and what's kind of give us the, we'll try and get you some, subs, as the kids say.
So, okay. The assistant principals in my district have a certain designated roles, and my role is the quote wellness coordinator. So it's like social emotional learning, things like that. So I'm all about, the positive mindset, the open communication, things like that. I really pride myself on that. That's kind of what I'm doing my doctoral studies on. So what happened was the COVID pandemic. And so we started brainstorming as a district, how can we support, the SEL and kids' social emotional competencies and things like that. So I said, I guess I'll just come out with a YouTube channel where kids can, and as I started to map out what that would be like, I didn't want to take up too much teacher time. So I made it 1-minute videos of just a message and a focus question to try and help kids kind of cultivate this positive mindset throughout a given week. So it's weekly episodes. I'm hearing good feedback. It's going well. I wear different T-shirts in each episode.
I noticed that, yes.
That's where the kids are really, honing in on is what T-shirt is. I'd rather them hone in on the focus question than the T-shirt. But yeah.
But you try to tie them in, though, right? The T-shirt's supposed to be related to the message when it can be?
Correct. As closely as I can. The teachers have asked me that, too. It's like, do you get the T-shirt first and then write it? Or do you write it? I'm like, it just whatever happens. But yeah, so since September, that's it. I just kind of started this journey. I don't know how long I'll do it. It's pretty taxing on my weekends.
Yeah. Who's doing like the tech stuff? Are you like editing it and uploading it? Like doing like a school place where they have the camera? Like how's all that? What's the nuts and bolts of it?
No, that's a good question. So the nuts and bolts are definitely for a 1-minute video. It'll probably take me like 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
To complete. So it's a lot of work, but like I mentioned earlier, I try and just push myself to be better. I don't know how long. I'll definitely keep it up for this year, every week this year. But moving beyond that, we'll see what happens with it. But I'm glad that teachers are using it. There's teachers that in my school that are using it. There's teachers, abound that are using it. So I'm glad that kids are, it's resonating.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, keep it going for the year. See if you get that corporate sponsorship. I get it.
Exactly. That's Netflix miniseries.
Get waiting for that call from Obama. I get it. He owns Netflix, right? I think he owns Netflix.
Yes, exactly. He does. Yes, he's in charge of Netflix now.
I want to ask about this. I had heard about this, and Mealey hadn't, so I might be totally off base here. But math hoops.
Oh, sure.
So you have some kind of connection to math hoops, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what the connection was, but could you explain exactly what your connection to math hoops is and give us like the elevator pitch for it?
And what Math Hoops is, yeah.
Yeah.
So Math Hoops essentially is a board game, and it's a board game that helps kids do the 4 mathematical operations, as well as an element of statistical analysis and decision making and stuff like that. So what happens is I don't really have a connection to them. I was a teacher that started having his kids play this game. They deliver it free. It's a really great program. It's from a company called LearnFresh. Really, really great guys. There's a guy called Nick Monzi who runs the whole thing. And what happened was my kids started playing this board game, and they hold regional tournaments where you and your kids, like a field trip, go to like the Barclays Center, and they set up the Barclays Center with all these tables. It's a 2v2 game. So all these tables where 4 kids are sitting, and you play kids from other areas of the city and Long Island or wherever you are. And my team wound up winning 3 times in a row, which
nice.
I started to feel like there was a little bit of people didn't like when we showed up to these things. But we won it 3 years in a row, and then I had a really great.
Because you were obviously cheating by you had implanted chips in the kids' brains or something you had done, right?
Exactly.
They were actually little people that were dressed up like kids that were 30 years old, but you would just
time for my smoke break. Aren't you 12?
Yeah, exactly. So the coolest part and kind of where our journey ended with it was I had a student who her mother, the year before I had her mother passed away unexpectedly. Wow. And Math Hoops, what they do is they hold national championships. Mm-hmm. So long story short, this girl had an opportunity, her grandmother and me, for free. LearnFresh flew us out to Oakland to compete in this national champ, and it so far surpassed our expectations. So that's my connection. I'll just always tip my hat to LearnFresh and NBA Math Hoops. I would always recommend it to anybody. It's absolutely free. You don't pay anything.
Cool.
So it's
my favorite flavor.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Hey guys, this is an advertisement, a commercial if you want to know what it is.
And they do.
So this is especially for you folks in North Kakalaki and South Kakalaki. You have a house, you have a car, you have life. What do you need? You need insurance. You go, you know what? If I could buy my insurance from a former teacher, that's what I'd like to do. Hey, Tudisco, do you know anyone that has a business selling insurance who used to be a teacher?
You know I do, and I think you do too. Pimentel?
Yeah, he used to teach with us, but he doesn't anymore. And apparently there's some guy Garcia that he knows. So they've got insurance. You need insurance. There's a link in the show notes.
We're all kind of looking at bottom line. We're looking at what's going to help us, what's going to be easiest. Check it out. Talk to them. Get a quote, and they will help you out.
And it's at Pimentel, Pimentel, Garcia.com. So you can email them that info. You can go to the website, or you can call 704-272-3535. It's all listed in the show notes. Swipe down and click, baby. You're there. And then get your insurance from a teacher, not from some weird lizard or from some ball guy who says bubba-dubba-dubba-da-da-da. No, you don't want that. You want it from a teacher. That's where you want your insurance.
When you call up Pimentel Garcia Insurance, make sure you tell them you heard it from us. And now, back to the show.
All right, so I know you, as we said, got that mileage in the classroom. So in that time, we know insane things happen every day. We have the most ridiculous job on the planet.
Especially at charter schools, apparently.
Right. We're maybe number 2 to rodeo clown. I think they might have us beaten. But have you collected any really funny stories from the classroom? So when you get together with people who aren't teachers, you're like, I got to tell you guys this one.
Oh, yeah. There's tons, man. I don't know which ones I could say on air, but I actually, this one, it's not so student-centered. It's more about when I was trying to support a teacher at my old school. So, like I said, just picture this. I'll set the stage. So I was probably 25 years old, and this teacher, he was a male as well. He was probably 22 years old. So he calls me frantically. well, not calls, texts. So as soon as I can, I had an off period. I go to his class. Luckily, his standing in the in the corner of the room, and I'm like, "Hey, are you all right? Like, what's going on?" Apparently, long story short, he, in a cartoon style, like bent over and split his pants open.
Nice.
So yeah. So
oh no.
Yeah. So he turned, like, he shows me. It's like kind of just two dudes in a locker room at this point, and I'm like, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. Because just like you said earlier, there's not many resources at like a startup charter school when you're a founding member. So I had a stapler right there. So
goodness.
We stapled up the slacks, and listen, he was good to go.
Did we take them off before we stapled them, or we stapled them while he was wearing them?
No, it was I was on one knee, Tim Tebow style, just stapling the pants as he was standing there.
Oh my God, that's
a lot of faith in you.
Yes, a lot of trust. Yes.
He was a good guy. I trusted in him. So that's what happened. He made it through the day, and listen, it worked out well.
Nice. Well, that's good to know.
If you ever need a good tailor, I got a stapler for you. So.
Yeah, I was going to say at least you had the staple, so that's good. I had, and this is crazy, the same kid. Maybe he just wasn't good at picking out his clothes, or growth spurts. So the first time it happened, some kid had spilled water on the floor. And so he was like, they come back from lunch, and he was not walking carefully around the room. I don't know if he's jumping or running or whatever. And his foot catches like the wet spot on the floor, and he basically does a split and tears his shorts. No. Yes.
You just reminded me of another one, but when you finish your story, come back to me. I have to before you guys.
So I send him to like the next room because she had planning then, and I'm trying to remember what ended up happening and how we repaired it. But literally the same kid, a month later, he bends over to pick something up off the floor, a pencil or whatever he's bending over, and he tears his shorts again. And I'm just oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with you, So it was really, really funny.
He's getting all the pants tearing young, so it doesn't happen to him when he's old.
I guess so. So. Like I said, maybe he's going through a growth spurt. Maybe he just wore tight pants or cheap pants. I have no idea. Okay, go.
You actually just reminded me of this one's a student-centered one. I guess it's more of a reflection on my priorities, which won't shed a good light on me, but it's for the sake of the fans here.
Honest light. It's an honest
light.
Right.
There we go.
I'll be my authentic self here, but we got, this is my first year at my new school, so it was my third year teaching. And we had these brand new Chromebooks, and they would be wheeled in on like these amazing like tech carts, and everything was just pristine. And so when you plug it into the wall, it kind of, there's a wire running down, so you might trip over the wire. So I'd always remind the kids, watch the wire, et cetera, et cetera. You see where this is going. So one kid, right? So one kid, his name escapes me right now, but one kid, he's picking out his Chromebook, and he's walking very carefully. He was a great, great kid. And obviously he trips over the wire, absolutely face plants, motionless on the floor. Like he's motionless. So the Chromebook goes flying, Chromebook smashes the whole thing. Everybody in my class is like, "Oh, Mr. Canle, oh my God." I turn around because I guess I was helping a kid or what have you. And I run over and I step over the kid and go, "Is the Chromebook okay?"
Nice.
And that
priorities.
Was natural. Yeah, that was my natural reaction. Which, looking back, I checked myself and I go, "Oh my God, are you okay too? You're okay."
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's funny. I think I've mentioned this before, but I when I go over my syllabus in class, I do two things. I mentioned that if you have to vomit, don't ask, just run away, okay? Because I had heard a story of a friend who had, the kid's like, "Can I?" And just throws up on the teacher, and your staples won't help that. But so I'm like, if you have to vomit, just run out the door, and I'll probably say, "Where are you going?" and yell at you, but that's okay. We'll figure that part out later. And then the last part is, if you have some kind of, like something more significant than that, where you're going to die, I need you definitely to leave my classroom and go into another teacher's classroom, because I really don't want the paperwork that's going to come with all of that. So please. And the kids are like, this is day one, you mean your teacher? And he's like, and I'm like, dude, just so you know, just how Mr. Mealey is. I like teaching. I'm not big into the paperwork, and you know, and I love you, but if you're going to die, you're going to go do it. You're going to go do it like in the bathroom or next door, because I can't handle all that drama. I
was just going over the rules with my students the other day, and I said, remember, guys, rule number 2 is don't die. Okay. And one of my kids goes, what's rule number 1? I said, don't throw up on Mr. Tudisco.
Yeah. More important than death. Yeah.
There we go.
I knew a really old school teacher. I don't know if she's still teaching. Very old school, very tough, you know, great pedagogically, but just very, you didn't want to mess with her. Mm-hmm. And her opening day, procedures in her class was she would have her students write down any ideas that you guys have that you think would make this class run better, or you could contribute to this class just to, you know, help me out. And I'm going to take them all right now. You're going to write them down right now, and I'll take them and put them in my thought box for you. And if you come up with an idea, you could put it in the thought box. And so the kids are really eager. They start writing everything down, and, you know, they think they have all these great ideas. And then the teacher comes around with the thought box. And the thought box is the garbage can.
Nice.
And I go, that is so, like, wow, you are just something else.
See, when you get your own school and you're like full principal, that's what you do the first day with the staff meeting.
Just tough. That's a tough route to go, you know?
I want you guys to think, how should I run this? How would you guys like me to treat you as teachers? I'm going to put it in my suggestion box and then just break out the trash can from behind the thing. That would be good stuff. I thought
what you do is you collect them up and you smile, and then you go up to the front, put them in a trash can, and light it on fire.
I was going to say, they got to light it on fire. That's
and
really,
then
you bring the drama. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Lighting on fire is definitely something. So before we go to the one little game we're gonna play for a minute, I like debating it. Okay. So talk to me about growth mindset versus, is there a limit to what growth mindset can do? Because sometimes I feel like we get in these things where it's like, oh, if we just have this growth mindset, every kid
fix
can
all problems.
Everyone can go to MIT and Harvard. We'll just have them all go, and we'll all get 1,600 on our SATs, and we'll all get all of these things right.
I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. I think growth mindset is just the 21st century way of saying, you know, work hard. I think it's just as simple as that. I think the old working hard has gotten lost somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that for some reason, people are afraid to tell kids that they've failed at something, but by working hard, you could do better next time. I don't know why that's become such a scary thing to say to a child. Mm-hmm. We have to kind of mask it with this growth mindset type thing. Which is fine. You know, I'm all for, you know, the marketing and the buzz of getting kids excited or what have you. But I think it's as simple as that. I think growth mindset for me, an effective growth mindset would be that a teacher or any educator or anybody, a coach or parent, whatever, they've instilled in a student a belief that if I work hard, I could be better tomorrow than I am today, and better today than I was yesterday. But there's no guarantee that I'll be the best, but I could be my best.
Because I see some people who are, I guess, for lack of a better word, selling growth mindset, and it like they
in
come
the growth
across
cult, as they say.
I mean, they're like almost like snake oil salesmen, and it's like, you know, I can take any group of kids, and if I can just change their mindset, then they will outperform any other group of kids. And I'm like,
listen, I mean, I could be as positive and as hardworking as I ever could be, but there's no way I'm going to go outside and run a mile under 4 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
You know, I can
You're
be the best that I can personally be.
Exactly. You wanted to be Messi or Ronaldo, but it didn't happen. And it wasn't because you weren't trying.
Right, exactly.
I mean, personally, I couldn't run a mile. Let's not even set a time limit. I drive a mile and I feel winded.
Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely that layer though of like I think people are calling it now like toxic positivity or whatever.
Yeah.
where it starts to become a little like Harrison Bergeron-y, where like we all have to be equal so nobody else feels terrible.
Yes.
But it's like, you know what?
Rockin' Harrison Bergeron. I am loving some.
Busting out the Vonnegut.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes, that's one of my favorite. I use that analogy all the time.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well,
Go ahead.
here's the thing. It's like the way I got better, just bringing it back to soccer, the way I got better is I looked at the players that I knew were better than me.
Right.
You know, and I learned from what they did and things like that. So
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong or damaging to a child's like quote unquote SEL if they know someone in their class is better than them at the moment. But
Right.
if they work hard, they might be able to get there. You know, I
Right.
don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, we're probably in agreement here that the person you're competing against is yourself. You know
Right.
what I mean? And let's make, tomorrow me better than today me. And if I can do that, then I should feel glad about what I did. You know what I mean? If I had a 60 in the class and now I've got a 72, then that's a win, and that's a big success. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, one of my if anybody from my faculty listens to this podcast, which I'm sure they will.
They're all listening. Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. Let's get some shout outs, okay? Mrs. Jones. Hey, Mr. Yeah.
But,
Let's shout out to Ben Affleck. We know he's listening.
Yes.
let's hope so. That'd be great. But
Yes.
they're gonna laugh at the following, because this is something I do. I actually wrote an article that Edutopia picked up, which I was surprised that they picked this up. 'Cause it's very simple.
Nice.
But it's something that I say to kids passing me in the hallway, and kids know if they see me coming down the hallway, they try and get away from me because they know I'm going to have this question.
Yes.
But it's just, listen, it's 11 a.m. You've been in school since 8:15. What have you learned so far today that you didn't know yesterday? And it's just instilling that mindset of like, you want to be taking away something. You're here
Yes.
for 8 hours.
Yes.
Take something away today. And
There you
you'd be
go.
shocked at how so many kids don't have an answer. And that
I'm not really shocked, but yes, but I do.
I have the same answer after like a 3-hour PD. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that tells me a few things. Not that the teacher's not doing a great job, but
Mhm.
but maybe as a teacher you want to make it more obvious what the kid is focusing on today, so they can articulate it themselves. Because
Yes.
it kind of can paint you in a bad light if it's just, well, we did kind of nothing today. It's not a good look necessarily. And I kind of connect that to growth mindset. And it had, over the past 2 years, it has been working. Kids are more, ready to say what they're working on, things like that. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. I was going to say, I do tell my students, I don't know if you do this or not, Tudisco, but I'm like, if your brains don't hurt a little bit when you leave my classroom, then I didn't do my job. You know what I mean? Just like when you would go to a physical trainer, you should expect that, like, when I walk out of the gym, that I feel tight, sore. I should know that I did something. You know what I mean? And your brain should feel like it did something when you leave my classroom. Now, I do try to find that balance. Yesterday, we really went super hard. And today, we're going to kind of process, debrief what really hurt our brain yesterday, and kind of give us a day of kind of like a recovery day.
Also, it's also interesting that, we use the Danielson rubric for evaluation.
I have no idea what that is. Okay. Do you know what that is, Tudisco?
It's a rating scale of ineffective, developing, effective, or highly effective. Those are the actual terms used to rate a teacher. And there's a lot of teachers that put pressures on themselves, and they think they need to do so much to live in this highly effective kind of stratosphere.
Yeah.
And, what I always try and tell them, and what I always told myself, I would never give somebody advice that I wouldn't tell myself, but it's just, there's really only two reasons to ever ask a question in class, right? It's to gather data from your class and then respond to that data. That's really it. That's the whole purpose of ever asking a question. So when you're drafting a lesson plan or what have you, your pre-planned kind of checks for understanding or whatever, just what data can you glean right now, and then what can you respond based on the XYZ contingency plans you have. And that's just a highly effective teacher, in my opinion. It's nothing crazy,
Cool.
And Mealey, going back to what you said about the kids feeling tired after a lesson, I do tell that to my students, because the number one complaint I get about reading, right, is they say, well, I don't like to read because it makes me feel tired. Which I get. I'm like, yeah, your brain's a muscle and you're working it.
Right.
That's what reading does. So,
Yes.
the best way to fix that is read.
That's the issue with getting better at things, is that we only want to get, better at the things that we're already good at.
Right.
Right. Or we only want to do the things we're good at.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And that's where growth mindset comes in.
Yes.
There you go.
Bringing it full circle. See what it did? Oh, yeah.
Professional.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
So here's a game we like to play from time to time. Okay.
Sure.
So and the faithful listeners already know the game, but I'm going to kind of explain it to you. So there's a game you might have played in late in high school or college that this is based upon, but we changed it. Okay. So are you familiar with the game Kill, Marry, and we say have relations with? Do you know that game?
Sure. I'm aware.
Okay. So this is different from that. This is student, teacher, and admin. Okay. So we're going to put you back as a teacher, or you can be whatever. Yes. So if you were a teacher, so you have to pick one of these to be your colleague, one of these that would be your student, and one of these that would be the administrator. Okay. So
Okay.
your boss. Okay. We're going to go with Peanuts here. Are you familiar with the Peanuts? Charlie
Peanuts?
Brown?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. So you've got Charlie Brown, Lucy, and Linus.
This is so timely. I was literally last night hanging out with some friends at dinner, and we were talking about, is Linus the kid with the blanket or not?
Yes,
So
he is.
It's crazy how you bring this up right now.
That is
Because
wild.
Rotor is the one who plays piano.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you got Charlie Brown, you got Lucy, the one that pulls the football away, Linus's annoying older sister, and then you've got Linus, and you've got to make one of them your student, one of them your colleague if you're a teacher, and one of them the principal.
Okay. Charlie Brown's going to be, he was one of the choices, right? He was
Yes.
going to be he's my principal.
Oh wow! Okay.
I feel like he is the most just level out of those three.
Okay.
I think my colleague I'm gonna have be Linus, because I think that's pretty easy to work with.
Okay.
And I think Lucy I'm gonna have be my student, because you can't coach what she has, but I could refine it and tone it down a little bit so she could be more collaborative.
There we go. Cool.
That's my reasoning.
Okay. Are you familiar with the historical figures, or have you seen the musical Hamilton?
I have not seen the musical Hamilton. I'm familiar with historical figures, I hope, at this point.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll take, and I can go somewhere else with this if we have to, but we'll take, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, and Aaron Burr.
Oh, geez. Wasn't there like a big thing with Aaron Burr? There's
Yeah. Well, he dueled with, Hamilton.
Yeah. So I will. I think Jefferson would be a good student for the same reasons I said to Lucy. I think he's got some brilliance in him, but I gotta kind of tame it a little bit. I think Burr could be a good snappy colleague.
Okay.
Really keep me on my toes in those PLC meetings. Make sure I'm doing well. And who was the last one?
Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton. Yeah, Hamilton's. That's great. He'll be a principal, and I think I'll be able to work with that on those three levels. I do.
Cool. All right, we're gonna leave it.
Speak his mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think good call. Saying we need to give Jefferson some direction. You're very smart, but maybe not describe our students of color that way.
Right.
Right. I mean, maybe.
Yes. How many students in your school? Well, I took our population and I multiplied it by 3/5. So,
Oh God.
You had to do it. I understand. You got to do it.
oh, sorry. Is it too soon for that? I don't know. But yes. Now we're getting angry podcast listeners. I just said that. I didn't write that in the Constitution. That was Jefferson. But anyway, I think we have successfully squandered close to an hour of our listeners' time and had a good time doing it. Unless Tudisco, you have something that you wanted to ask or share, or we can wrap it up
I'm an open
here.
book. I'll talk about anything, guys.
Okay. Tudisco, do you have anything else you wanted to kind of?
What is your perfect Sunday? No,
Oh my God.
I got nothing.
See, when you said that, I love ice cream so much. I went to that type of sundae.
Sure. Well, tell us what's in it then. Let's go there for just 2 seconds. Tell us what's in your perfect sundae.
I'm a little controversial because apparently I like banana ice cream, which is a polarizing choice.
Yeah.
Either people totally agree with me or say that's ridiculous. So I'll do a little banana ice cream.
When you say banana ice cream, it's like the ice cream that you make out of a banana, or is it like banana flavored with it's actually got milk in it?
Who knows? I don't know how these magicians work their magic. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do banana ice cream. I'm thinking of the Cold Stone order I get. A little graham cracker in there, a little caramel, a little yellow cake. Now you guys got me going. Here we go.
Okay. All right.
You got to go full on chocolate. You just have to every flavor and style of chocolate crammed into one sundae.
That's what I'm down with that as well. As long as and some it can be Oreo or cookie or chocolate chip cookie dough. I want some of that. My wife mocks me because she's not a sugar fiend the way I am, and I've now trained my children. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to put chocolate syrup on your ice cream? Like that's like
sacrilegious.
Like really, like you have fries, there's ketchup. You know what I mean? Like, we were married 20 years now. When we first got married, she's like, what do you mean you keep chocolate syrup in the refrigerator all the time? You buy that for like special occasions. I'm like, no, it's like salt and butter and,
special occasions,
paper towels.
Thursday.
Yes, there's yes. I mean, Tudisco, is there chocolate syrup in your refrigerator right now?
Absolutely there is.
Okay, Mr. Canle, yes?
My stepson's the same way as your kids. Like, he's not a big fan of chocolate. Like, he's not a big fan of like candy. So like he'll get candy for Halloween and it'll just sit in the closet for months. And I gotta stare at it saying, well, I guess as a responsible adult I shouldn't eat a child's candy. But he won't notice if it's gone. It's a struggle. All right. It's a lot of stress.
It is.
I like to use the word hero, but I sacrifice for my family.
And I think I know what your choice is, Tudisco. You have your two choices. You can waste it or you can waste it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And you choose the WAIST one.
Oh, yeah. 100% all the time. I'm like, how old is this Kit Kat? 3 years? I'll chew past it.
Still good.
Still good.
Still good.
Oh, okay. Well, boys and girls, thank you again for tuning in, and we appreciate you listening. And we'll put Mr. Canle's YouTube links in the show notes, and his Twitter handle in the show notes, and
personal
I don't
phone
know
number, social security number,
yes, and
mother's maiden name,
but the links to the Math Hoops people. We'll put the links to that in as well, so that they can. If someone heard that and said, "Hey, I really want to do that," that's your job, Tudisco, to find that.
And your Edutopia article.
Yes, and your Edutopia article.
3 of them. I'm really.
Do you get paid for that?
Year. You do get paid for it, yes.
What does Edutopia pay for you for an Edutopia article?
It's confidential, my friend.
Oh, man. But you haven't retired yet.
I have not retired yet, but if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Okay. That's
Step 1, I have to get good at something, but that's good to remember.
Okay. All right. So, yes. So how much do we owe you for being on the podcast then?
My people will contact your people.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Okay, cool. Just look out for the Bitcoin coming your way. But thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Mr. Canle, for being here. And as we always say, stay unprofessional.
Thanks for listening, Unprofessionals. For more information about our guest, please check out our show notes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And here is a little sample for next week.
Virtual friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And have we mentioned the name of her podcast yet? Did we say Less Than Impossible yet? Let's say Less Than Impossible a few times. Lesson Impossible. Lesson Impossible. Yeah, so if you want to know...
When you say a word so many times it loses meaning, that's called semantic satiation.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Lesson Impossible. I don't know. Less impossible. All right, so let's stop that.
It's a great podcast, and you've been doing it since like September, right?
Since
Last
2019, yeah. September 2019.
So you just it had its first year. It had its birthday recently.
Yes.
And it's 50th episode.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I know on your podcast you like to ask people the big hypothetical question, and we like to do it too, but here's how we like to phrase it. So if you got a magic wand and you could add and or delete one thing from the entire Eduverse in order to fix it all, what would it be?
I would decouple time with learning. This idea that if you sit in a chair for 80 minutes, you are now 80 minutes more educated than you were before. And I think we're seeing this especially with COVID, this idea that kids were sitting in school for 7 hours a day. We thought, okay, that's a perfect amount. Now they need to sit in front of a computer for 7 hours a day because they need those 7 hours of education. And that's really not the way that we learn. And it makes a lot of assumptions about the speed that kids learn, their engagement, all this kind of stuff. So I think that if we could get rid of this idea of time being the measure of education.